Hello, hello, and good afternoon, everyone, or good morning, wherever in the world you are. It is a Friday, and it's about 2 p.m. Central European Time. I was talking about probably like a week ago by now that I would have wanted to make a so-called yarn code video, but the decision has been made to postpone that one for next week Friday. That just fits better in my agenda. Meanwhile, I did finish up Fleur since last since last live. I was live Wednesday. I finished up Fleur Wednesday evening, and that felt amazing. I fixed a small mistake I had made, um, and it's finished. I'm like, it's right next to me, so we can have a look at that later if you want to. Sure, no problem. Meanwhile, I have been working a little bit on sewing my squares together here. I am still needing to add two more squares, um, and that is to the Daisy Days bag. I also have, as you can see on the thumbnail for this live, I have my Emma over my buckets here next to me that is filled with some different yarns because we need to make or try to help me make a choice for the center yarn that I'm going to use for the heart collector's shawl. The hat collector shawl will be the big project, I believe, of 2026. It could be that we'll make more big projects. Time will show, but right now I don't know. So we have the option, of course, of me sewing these together, which is something I will definitely need to get done. I also still have, and I am still working on the rip knit beanie. So we have a project in going here as well. And I'm just curious to see actually how far we are. Are we at the decreasing point yet or not? I don't think so. We are right now at 6.5 inches. So there is definitely also some knit still to happen here. So I definitely still need to get some rounds knit. So what I really like about this beanie right now is it's really easy to bring with me on the couch if I'm watching something with my partner, and eventually soon I will have to close it down. I'm a bit more than halfway, right? And when I need to start decrease that, um, then obviously I can't as easy work with it on the couch because I'll need to focus a bit. I do have my double pointed needles to do the decreases with. They are not too far from me, so we can definitely also work on that. But I think maybe in any case, we could start by sewing those squares together, those granny squares. Hello, Susan. Good morning to you. Wonderful to see you. Hope you're having an absolutely great day. And yeah, once we're a few people more in this live, that is when I think we should probably go ahead and have a look at the extra yarns that I brought. So I have this bucket of yarns, which are all different various colors. That I was thinking of using for the center because I'm not completely sold of the three options I had to choose between. So I may have to do something different. Probably you have to do something different. Um, and I found that, and that's on the thumbnail. I think I can also, that is, if it wants to let me open it, I could attempt to share the big screen. Let's see if it does want to go up and go big. Then the real question is if it wants to share screen, share this one. Let's try. Friends is what I hope to be able to choose between. And I think these colors are actually showing pretty well compared to what they are in reality. So I think this is a reasonably fair assessment of the colors. The two neutral off whites, I would say, are very much the same. They are different yarns, but they're probably made at the same factory. So there are some different options here that we can go with. But As I said, it's undecided. It's undecided. We will a bit later, and I will hold up the yarns and we can talk a bit about them. So Susan says she's up early today and she is crocheting a simple continuous granny square blanket and a Suzette stitch bookmark. And Susan agrees with me. She likes the creams better than the reds. So I have only one cream. The other one is a pinkish type. Um, and I'm not super convinced of the more pinky type. I might be more for the cream than the cream or the off-white in that event. I have also like a different, somewhat brighter red, but I'm not too sold on that either. Also, one of the reasons is that I do have 6 skeins of that, and I had originally bought it to make a different but more solid colored shawl. So I'd rather not break that one up. But it could be an option if that had happened to look amazing. Sometimes you need to be willing to make certain sacrifices in your life of creativity. Let's see. This, my friend, is the top. So that would go with this one. So yeah, what I am doing right now, I should probably put you guys down if you want to follow it. I am sewing granny squares together. Very boring. Well, that was my idea. Let's see, I need to pop you guys down. That is, if my camera wants to coordinate a little with me. We are trying. I may need to too. Let's see. I think we are the default. Let's try to make it because the white here really pops, so it's not really very friendly. Or I need to have a constant shade. Um, and I'm not going to turn off the light because then I can't see the dark aspects. So it is a bit dark here today. So that was a bit better. Now we have brightened up just a little bit. Because it is rainy. It's just a rainy day, so all the snow we got in the beginning of the week is kind of gone. Um, there is less than half the snow left. Hello, Jay. Wonderful to see you. So I was thinking basically that we can sew together this happy or Daisy Days bag. The Daisy Days bag is a pattern from Drops Design. I have linked to it in the description box down below if you are curious. I have the pattern as well on my screen in the background, so I can pop over there. But the only thing I'm doing right now, which is what I have to do for this pattern, is I have to sew these six. I have 6 granny squares. I have one more here. I have to sew them together and then join them so they're like one round circle. That is basically what I've been doing. I started doing that last evening. I didn't have an awful lot of time yesterday for crafting compared to what I sometimes would have. And henceforth, I I haven't sewn it completely together, and instead I decided. I wouldn't say I decided, it's just kind of happened, right? That we could do that together the rest because it was getting really late and I went way too late to bed. That's definitely for sure. This morning, I felt like staying in bed because I had gotten too late to bed. And there is this weather forecast app, um, which is basically it has some really rude um, phrases, so to say. How can I say that? And I do recall it's called something like what the VT forecasts, which is basically the name of the app. And it popped up and said, and it can be rather rude and crude sometimes. But today I actually totally agreed with it. This morning, the weather forecast basically said, fuck it. It's raining and cold. Just stay in bed. And I'm like, yes, it's raining and cold and I want to stay in bed. The weather for New Jersey is sunny with a temperature of 29 degrees Fahrenheit. It's about negative 2 degrees Celsius. The wind is blowing from south southwest at 2 miles per hour. We could check the actual weather here. I'm quite sure it will say raining because it still looks like it's raining outside. It has been raining since sometime last night, um, which is kind of nice for the aspect of the snow, right? It's more or less gone. It's getting less slippery to walk outside, so that's really, really nice. The weather here, according to this, is right now 3 degrees Celsius here, so it's 38 degrees Fahrenheit. Wind is blowing from east southeast at 13 miles per hour, and the current humidity is 88, and it is raining. I agree. Good afternoon, Helle. Wonderful to have you with us. Let's see. I am. Yeah, that is this one. Do, 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 do. And now I just need to make sure that I am picking the right corner stitch to join. It is always a little bit iffy to get these started. So I am doing the mattress stitch. I don't feel I've done it enough to be proficient in explaining exactly what I'm doing, but I will give it a go if you want me to. That said, there are also some great tutorials on YouTube. The benefit of this is it becomes sort of invisible. Of course, I am also using the same yarn, so that helps on the invisibility. Um, so one could have argued that I could also instead maybe have chosen to crochet my two pieces together instead of sewing. Um, yeah, I'm gonna turn these around. That's gonna be easier for me to scoop up those stitches with my needle. So that is what we will be doing. Sew together these pieces while we wait for a few more people to join, and then we can chit chat about yarn. As I said, I have these plans for the hat collector shawl. I have the yarns laying, waiting, and I really think that the reds aren't gonna be as ideal as I originally thought they would be. We are now then in a situation where I actually bought yarn in the past. It's like last year, the year before, to be able to actually make what I wanted to make or what I thought would be great. But every time I got the yarns, I was like, yeah, I'm not so sure. Yeah, I'm not so sure. And then I just bought the different colors that seemed closer. um, but that's cool. The benefits of the solid twisters or Friends wheel solid colors are that um, they are 400 meters. So it's a 100-gram skein to 400 meters of yarn, and you know I can combine them with other colors and still make a nice shawl. Not the hat collector shawl, maybe, but you know, or I can make a T-shirt or something else, right? I don't need to. You don't need to make what you purchased the yarn for. Often we end up, if you don't get started on a project reasonably soon or keep having it reserved and directly concrete planned out, yarns often end up being used for something else than you bought them for. Um, I don't know what your experience is, but that is my experience. That my yarns do definitely not always get used to for the projects I plan for them. Um, in fact, I'm really poor at that sometimes, but not all of them, because some of the yarns, especially many of my cakes, I bought them with the purpose of quote unquote shawl, because I really like making shawls. Um, and I actually have too many, so I need to get better at getting them photographed and put up for sale because, I can't keep them all. I don't have enough room in my home to do that. I don't use them all either. Can't use them all at once. Just keep your favorites. Um, it came from there, so there is where we go in. So yeah, not a lot of crazy plans. We also have, and that is something I've also been considering because we are going to a friend's place on Sunday. Um, my partner needs to pick up a few things, but also we need to chit chat about other things. And there's a car drive there, so I need a project. Either I need a new hat because I think that hat will be done before then. Um, or I need to consider casting on this simple yet effective cowl by Tin Can Knits. I actually have the yarn laying here next to me. So that is another project we can work on today, is me casting on a heck ton of stitches. Um, that is another option for today. But we are in a sense of, I think they do recommend a 4 millimeter, but I'm not, it's not completely exact same yarn. And the yarn I have recommend a 3. Yet I am a somewhat tight knitter, so maybe it's gonna work out just fine. I don't know. We'll have to see if it's gonna work out or not. So I'm really thinking I should probably just cast on, I don't know, 10 stitches or 12 stitches and do a little swatch just to have an idea of how it's gonna look, instead of casting on all of them and then conclude that I definitely need to go find my smaller needles and cast it on with those. Feel free to come with a suggestion here. It's just because it's a lot of stitches, and I would really hate um, having to redo and wind the yarn back up and cast on again and stuff like that. You know, when it's a lot of stitches, don't make sure you don't do too much extra work. But maybe it's not too bad because it is a cowl and it's not an eye gown that's. Susan says here that the gauge is not super critical for the cowl. Okay, that's good to know. Obviously, it is not a sweater or something like that. A sweater would be way more critical to have the right gauge. Do do do. Dun, dun, dun. Ah, keep an eye out of what you're doing, Stina. So that's also an option. So I think I should probably cast on that as well, which means that we will have a bunch of projects to talk about next week. So it's not like I'm gonna start the hat collector shawl today either. In any case, because I still need to wind up the cakes as well in different colors. Better get the cowl going before the winter ends. Oh yeah, but honestly, that's not my biggest concern. I just need to do whatever I like to do. I still have a bunch of hats I want to do. Um, I'll end up knitting beanies in the summer. Guess gonna be ready for the winter then. Um, so there is definitely that. But as said, I do have plans for many things. But the cowl definitely. Um, Susan says it prefers to lightweight items in the warmer weather. Yeah, like especially if, like for example with the blanket and so on, that's really not not nice to sit with. Um, but then the hot collector's shawl in the middle of summer is probably gonna be hot, depending on again how big it will be when I get there, or I'll have something else. I also have the waffle chick, um, which is like a vest that I want to make, right? Um, but I also need to wind up the yarn for that one, which is probably gonna something I'm see if I can find time for that this weekend. Um, on Monday, we have a live again on Monday. Um, but right now I'm just, I guess, sewing this together because then I can get that settled. Hello, Revenant. I hope you're having a great morning. Right now, I am just sewing together the granny squares in the mattress stitch of the Daisy Days a bag. And I think it's quite nice looking grannies, and they were quite simple to make. Also, I carried the yarn, so I carried the gray from the center through here. You can't barely see it on the background, but it's carried here inside. You see the gray is slightly on the inside. Mm. But I could go ahead and find that yarn. I'm not sure how all the yarns for the hat collectors will show on this camera, because right now I've also darkened down the tones a bit, because if I don't, this white will like scream in your eyes. No. So I will sew these 5 squares together and like sew them together. This is just 5. I need one more. And then sew those together, and then I will need to crochet around, like make a bottom and top of it and so on. The idea is that it is going to look like this. There we are. This would be the end result. So as you can see, I'm just made the center and then I need to crochet around them. So it's not close to finished. Nope. We are getting there, but not exactly close to being finished. But that is hopefully the goal. That is what I'm trying to make. It's a drops pattern. It's just not the drops yarn that I'm using for it. That's the only difference between these. Drops suggested you could use, I think it's the Bummeline maybe, or they suggested Paris. Yeah, Crochet and Bummeline or Drops Paris. I am using the uh, recycled cotton from Hobbii, which is, I'm just go back over, which is this one. Oop. Recycled cotton, we love yarn. I got a bunch of this yarn in my stash. And I bought some of that in the autumn of 2023. I've made bags from it before, and I actually like it to make bags from this yarn. It's a nice yarn, sturdy yarn for making bags. Yeah, the pattern is also in the description box down below should you be keen on the pattern. I think you can probably also use like peaches and cream or a similar cotton to make this, should you be interested in going that direction. I don't see why not. Let's put it like this. Let's see here. There. And I need to get up here. Come on. So I can imagine the US people could probably use peaches and cream. If that is if you have it in your stash or just want to have a cotton that is reasonably easy accessible for you. Yeah, me too. If you can read diagrams, then there's a diagram description of it. I don't know if, yeah, it's just clear it's diagram. It doesn't say exactly how and what, but the diagram does. It is quite simple. I made a magic ring. Then I did 12 double crochets. Um, so here in the center, you have 12 double crochets in the white. Then I attached the sandy color, and there I did single crochets, 2 single crochets between each double crochet stitch. Then you chain 3 and you do, oh no, 4. You chain 4 because this is treble crochets this. So you chain 4 and then you do 3 treble crochets together with that 4th chain. You chain 4, so there are 4 chains here, and then you do 4 treble crochets together, chain 4, 4 treble crochets together, etc. Every 2 single crochets. And then in the outer edge, you do a half double, chain 1, 4 half doubles, which is up here in the center, chain 1, 2 half doubles, 2 doubles, 2 trebles, chain 3, and then the next gap you do 2 trebles, 2 doubles, 2 half doubles, chain 1. Next space you do 4 half doubles, next space 2 half doubles, 2 doubles, 2 triples, etc. And then the last row is just a single crochet in each stitch all the way around, and in the corners you do a chain 3. That's it. Easy. So it's a nice, easy, simple pattern. You can probably also do it without the color changes, or you can choose to carry those colors with you as you go or as needed. Let's see. I got up here, so I need to get down here because I need to weave in my end. So that is my quick input on these squares, and they were nice and easy to make. But I did at some stage I thought I could do them in the car, and I probably could, but it was easier for me to sit down and make them, so to say. I started on them in December, and I finished all the squares during Christmas, during my Christmas visit in Denmark. I just haven't had time to sew them together because when I have been home, I've been focusing on Fleur, and we haven't discussed Fleur, but Fleur is finished. Fleur is straight next to me. So if you want me to show you the finished Fleur, because I fixed the mistake. Oh, I'm sorry. Let's take something to drink. I'm totally dry in my throat. Ooh. I finished Fleur. Fleur is next to me. I never finished that. No. And it's not going to finish because I have the same issue as I have here. I use the mattress stitch. I use the same color to make it with. I just can't and then I cut the yarn in the hope I cut the right yarn to unravel it. And then I cut the wrong yarn. And then I would have to redo a granny, and I definitely won't have enough yarn to finish off the project. So it's just not gonna get finished. It's just eternally doomed. Um, I haven't decided what to do with them. You will see that in my first Sort My Stash 2026 series, by the way. I will shortly talk a little bit about it, not much, but just the fact that it's probably going to lay in my stash until I decide that it's dead. The thought of even frocking it's a challenge to frock it due to how I've sewn the pieces together. I've tried to frock it. I've tried having my mom to look at it, and she's like, we are both giving up. And the price of the yarn used is not that extreme that I feel that I need to desperately frock it. Then I'd rather just let it go to the yarn heaven. Good morning, Lisa. And meanwhile, Revenant is sharing us a pattern. If we want to make a similar look. It's definitely a similar look. Yep. This pattern is also free. It's on the not on Rub. Yeah, it's probably also, you can probably also find this one on Ravelry, but they will just link to their own website. I sent some stuff to Yarn Heaven a few months ago. See, I haven't sent it to Yarn Heaven yet, but I probably really should, if that makes sense. Like, I feel I should. Because the thing is, I don't even want to frock this piece right now. Because I can't see the thread I used to sew it in with. Or maybe I can if I do like this, but still, it's very not visible. So I've just, accepted the faith of yarn. Susan says she finished a frock everything. I should probably just dump it. It's not frock friendly. Susan, if you want me to, I could send you the squares and you can frock them and you reuse the yarn for something. That could be something I could be considered to do. Because I am not gonna attempt frocking that. I've just given up on it. I just don't have the patience to fix it. Not happening. Instead, if what I should have done instead with that project, likely, I should probably have made it a triangle-ish thing and then just like gone rogue solo on the design. And that would have worked out fine. It's my feeling. And then I wouldn't have been in this situation. But instead, now I'm probably gonna make, I think I'm gonna make a t-shirt instead of the rest of the yarn. Lisa says, when I moved into my new yarn room, I amalgamated all my yarn into one room. That is impressive still. I'm not, I can't, I could squeeze all my yarn into one room, but it would be a mess to look at. This is where I carried the yarn. Revenant says it just turned into amigurumi stuffing for all the amigurumis I will never make. That sounds like me in the sense of this is my yarn ends for various projects I've made during 2026 and maybe also some even a bit older. And this is a amigurumi filling for, I don't know when. Last time I did amigurumi filling or filled an amigurumi with my scraps were actually this spring when I redid my chicken. Then I lined the outer edge of the chicken with the polyester filling, and the center I stuffed in old yarn scraps. Susan finishes and frocks everything. Yep, yep, yep. Send me a challenging project. Well, I could. Nation items can be funky but functional. Yeah. My yeah, I get what you mean. I definitely have some functional ones. Let's see. I need to go into this one. So they are functional, I guess, but this is just squares, and I'm not sure how to turn it into something functional. And therefore, I guess I've semi decided just to leave it be. Um, the argument is um, if it's gonna make into something useful. Lisa says I have enough yarn that I don't have to frock everything, especially if it's basic acrylic. Very valid, very valid. Um, I also definitely have enough yarn for I don't know what. I need to take my dog to the groomers. I'll be back in a bit. Don't have too much fun without me. Well, we try not to. Susan says unfinished makes disturbs. Sunk cost fallacy. Yeah, I would agree to some extent that they disturbs, but some things just can't get frogged, even if you want to frog it. Like desperately trying to, but the result just doesn't. If I have a sewing machine, I could cut and sew it to make something. I don't know what. I don't have a sewing machine. That's another story. um, that is on the list of things I will inherit once. I guess my mom-in-law passes away, unless she sold it before then, but I don't think she will. Or my mom, because I don't see my dad using a sewing machine. But I hope I'll have my mom for at least another 20 years, where I'd be rather surprised if I'd have my mom-in-law for another 20 years, because she is slowly becoming an older lady. No offense, but then she would get to be 100, which would be pretty amazing. Or maybe I should just, buy one. But I don't know where to put it. I don't use it enough, so that feels like sunk costs right now. I will first need to clean up a crap ton. So, yeah, nope. But if you want me to, I think I can squeeze it down size-wise to be shipped as a letter, and I can send it to you if you want me to. If you really want to see if you can make something out of it. And I do believe that I am now able to send gifts. I'm just in a mental state where I do not know what to make of it anymore, right? Um, so it could be that I find it again. I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna do this, but the reality is that um, I, I, I just don't have the. I'm just not in the mood to try to figure it out. I am allowed to send gifts as long as they are a value below 100 USD. That's not an issue. and it's a box max 1 kilo. If I can squeeze it into like one of those mm, postal box letters, it's 14 euros to ship, or 12 without track and trace. I'm not really sure the yarn isn't even worth that. I think yarn consumption wise is maybe 5 euros. Polymailer will not go as a letterbox, and it will go as a small package, and then it's like 20 euros. Susan says, joking, no need to send. So I am a big fan of finishing things, and I definitely believe things should be finished. Let's see. It comes from there. Um, so I really would like to finish it, but it's just not going to happen um, because of how things turned out. But I will talk more about that in the first Sort My Stash series, which will be out on. Give me a moment. I'm just going to look for my 19th of January. We are kicking it off with a short little introduction and stuff like that. Why is this looking funny? It's because we're not that far yet, I guess. So I will share a little bit more about that Granny Square project, as well as the other yarns I have there. You sewing these squares reminded me of the Dead project. Yes, I was so kind of reminded when I was finding my other drops projects. And I really should get going on some of those remaining projects for sure this year. Because I calculated, so if we're looking on basic yarn consumption, I calculated that how can I say that that all of the things I had planned during the um, Sort My Stash and Advent Calendar series, um, they are equaling about half my yearly yarn consumption. So that means that if I would work every day and be as diligent as I should be, then by July, I am out of projects if I only work on that. Lisa says, what about the top with the mohair alternative yarn? That is also a dead project. It's just, I can't frog it because the yarn is anything but frog friendly. And it's not gonna look how I wanted it to look. So it's not really gonna get a finish where I'm like, how can I say it? I don't like how it's going to look by the looks of it, because I feel that um, it's not having a good enough look for me to even consider it giving it away or selling it. And I definitely won't be using it myself. So it's just dead as well. It's another dead project. I'm a groomy filling. Or it is a project somebody can, if somebody wants to have this vest and sew it together, I'm more than happy to send the yarn, or the two sides, because that is also probably what it's gonna be. Two hafted pieces, which yeah. But I do have yarn left, and if I looked at it correctly, I think I have enough yarn left to instead knit a shawl. And I want to knit this shawl called Ladylike, which is also a drops design. Um, I am gonna show by sharing. Yeah, I finished the diamond tote bag. That's finished. I finished that last January. It's on my website for sale if you're keen. Um, the mohair project I made uh, during my morning streams when I was still working for my old customer service job. So that's probably like 2 years ago, almost a year and a half ago. So this is the Ladylike scarf. And this is basically made with drops kit silk, 2 strands held together. And given it's like a kit silk or mohair-ish kit silk like type alternative, I think it would work fine for this particular shawl. And I really like it. You know, it's like it's not super big and it has some texture and so on. So this will be like my first more complicated, I think, knit project after I finished the cowl. So the cowl is definitely priority, and then I'm likely gonna be using or doing this. Um, it's what I'm suspecting me to do. You can also do a hat with it, but I'm not looking into the hat. I just want to make um, the shawl. I think I should have enough to do that. And if I have enough to do the hat, I'll probably do the hat. But you know, the shawl is the more important part. So that's my thinking right now of those projects. Let's see. Which means that I go into this one and I get out of this one. A center pick of my palindrome scarf set. I need to open my email then. Da 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 da. We are gonna pop over. Give me one moment. Here we are. Ta-ta. I love these colors, by the way. Absolutely gorgeous colors. Nice. Nice work. Could always be some, because I do see they have cables. So it could be like a good project for cables. Like I need to learn cables at some stage. I need to decide what project when I get there. Not decided either yet. But for all these things I'd like to learn, you know, first I'd like to get the projects done I've kind of put on my to-do list. This is obviously one of them. So, but it is definitely gorgeous, sure. It's warm and fussy, made in the Mystery Vintage Mohair blend. It is gorgeous yarn. It looks gorgeous, at least. The pattern is easy. Okay. So it's easy enough should I want to go that direction at some stage. I think I did save it on my Ravelry. if I don't remember wrong. Favorites. I did. I did. I have many projects saved on my Ravelry. And um, another thing I also need to not forget on my Ravelry is to keep it updated as I use yarn. If I use yarn that I have already stashed. So for example, once I've finished using this skein, I need to remove it so it's used. And I will runningly, as I do these sort my stash series in 2026, also update yarn and the amount of yarns I have, and I will mention the numbers for you guys, and that will always be as like the yarn we know we actively have there at the given time, and hopefully at the end of the year I should have all of my yarn stashed on Ravelry. That would be kind of cool. Just knit and purl and only 3 cables every 5 rows. Sounds easy, actually. But I haven't even done a single cable in my life, so I do have needles to be able to make cables, I believe. But I will need to sit down and learn. And things that I have to learn is not on my priority list unless it is a single stitch for a whole big thing, like a specific crochet stitch. Then I'm okay with learning it. But I'm not gonna learn bigger things for new projects that is not currently in my direct instant pipeline of things. Probably want to make sure that I finished the majority of what I want to make. But according to Susan, I should definitely get the cowl cast on at some stage. Maybe that is going to be the next project for today once we're done with this. But yeah, on the other hand, casting on is counting. I'm not sure if that's a good thing. We also still need to talk about the yarn for the hat collectors. I am going to make the biggest version of the hat collectors, so Susan says I practice new patterns and scrap yarn before I use good yarn. I understand that. I can definitely understand that. I have some absolutely gorgeous merino yarn that I'd like to use at some stage for hats, but I'm like, no. Would I want to first learn to knit something more advanced, or what do I want to do? I had a different project when I bought the yarn, but I realized when I had the yarns in my hand that I would definitely not have enough yarn for that idea. And then I scrapped the idea again. And now it's just being like, I need to figure out something at some stage to make with it. And it's likely just gonna easier be hats because I have like 4 skeins of it, which is like 800 meters of yarn, which can make a half decent project, but it's different colors as well. So it would probably be better just to make hats from it, I think. Why does this look so funky? Because this goes a bit different than the rest. Okay. And I've seen a couple of new shawl pattern releases lately where I'm like, oh, I'd love to make this one as well. and I have ideas flowing in my mind. Like I'd really like to sit down and get a shawl pattern maybe designed at some stage. That would be really nice. A nice thing to do. I also think it would be really nice to, oh, come on, there. Um, maybe like, for example, make a tutorial for this one. It is a free pattern, but if people would like a concrete stitch tutorial for certain things, like I need to get back into the tutorial making of things. Stitch tutorials. Yay. Do-do-do-do-do. You can use stitch markers at 20 or 25 stitch intervals when casting on with us. Yes, I could do that. I'd probably even do it with the 10. Like when I cast on for the beanies, I've done every 10 stitches. But it could be that 20 would work too because I needed the 10 because of the double stitches, because of the double layer yarn. So it was even more difficult to count. Um, we're almost done here. We just need to sew together them around. So the good thing about this piece, at least for the sewing together bit, is the fact that it's just one making a circle. I don't need to make corners or whatnot. So this can almost not go wrong, but I should not speak too hard because I thought the other wouldn't go wrong either before and without laying it out. No! Lisa says we almost cancelled our Mexico trip yesterday. My goodness. Welcome back, Revenant. That was a quick trip. I guess you left the dog at the groomers and then you'll pick it up later. Yeah, it was just a drop off. Cool. And the doggy behaves well at the groomers? Oh, that's nice. The dog loves it. So, Lisa, how come you almost cancelled your Mexico trip? It's also doggy daycare. That helps. That definitely helps. So they know they're gonna play and have fun, likely at some stage. Do, 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 do. Susan finished her palindrome knit scarf set. So you can, if you scroll back, you should be able to see it. Well, no, he can't because I shared it. So I would need to reopen it, actually, because you mailed it to me. But I can reopen it once I've sewn in this end. Do, 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 do. come on. Have I really made it this tight? No, I haven't. My husband's brother is waiting on biopsy results, which are basically confirming a diagnosis of pancreatic cancer. Oh no. And then our office manager's severely mentally disabled son passed away. That's horrible. That is a bunch of your stuff on your plate at once. Ah, yeah, wind back on the video. That is true. That is an option. Would be better for me too, because then I can continue. So we have one. Look, look, look. It's actually one long piece. Haha. So far, no mistakes. Next would be to join. So it is one round circle. And then I would need to attach crochet aspects. I just don't know if I want to keep on sewing. It's kind of boring to sew. So boring to sew. We should do something else first, at least. I think, right? Um, Sewing is boring. So I do have the piece of thread to be used, but I definitely feel we should do something else just for a bit. I just need to sew them together in the circle. And I can also do that later. I can also, like, it doesn't matter if I do that right now. I am out of sewing patience. I've been sewing for almost an hour. No, I didn't. I didn't. So we could talk about that. That was yarn scraps. Mm. And I'm drinking my Nijmegen Struts, so Pride of Nijmegen tea, which is gorgeous tasty. I need to go buy more of it. Ooh, you found the kitty kitty. Let me share screen. We have reference. I do believe it's a cat pattern. Kitty kitty. Could become a blanket, or sure, you could make tops and whatnot with it as well. But it's definitely kitties. I get a nice, good kitty mood. Halloween kitty. Okay. So we need to put that a bit away. And I'm gonna grab yarns. Lots of yarns. Ta-ta! So of course the challenge here is point one, space. Point two, the coloring might not be completely up to par, but here we have the main color, and I'm going to work from here out. So the tip of the wings of the hat collectors will be in this cream. That's the plan, right? So I'll work from here to out. And I have 3 skeins of this. And I had some suggestions on my channel as to how I can approach to do it. But I'm not sold because one wrote, let me see if I can find it. I just need to get to the comment section. Um, mm, mm, mm. So we have here, um, I saw a recommendation in another video about using bubble yarn, suggested to crochet one row per cake so that the yarn moves into the next gradient color at the same time. That way you wouldn't have to unwind all 3 cakes. But the problem is if I do that, you can't technically because you will have more ends to weave in. It's just a question of like unwinding one color and then I will still have ends to weave in all the way through. I can't get around that. Um, but I think that's the best way. I will have to unwind the cakes to cake them up. But I'll cake them all up together. So that's my thinking, right? Um, what do I else have of comments here on is beautiful shawl. I would personally choose the red from the 3, but if it was me, I would vote neon pink for a pop vivid color. Megan is motivated to start hers. So yeah, I am. I'm not quite there yet, but I'm getting there. Miracle Fighter votes for the red color. Wine and Bordeaux is going to be too similar to the Twister cakes to make it monotone. Kind of boring looking, so if it was me, I would use the red one. Then I have a French Wheel Bordeaux suggestion, and that's pretty much it for the color options that I'm being suggested. So let's see. This is the Twister Solid in Wine, which is really dark on this camera right now. I don't know. Maybe I can give it a little bit of light from here. Ooh, no, that's not. That's too much. If I go the other direction. Uh, yeah, it's not ideal. This is the darkest of them. It's wine. And then we have the Bordeaux, which is this one, which I think could work. But maybe it is indeed because they either seem too close or too like it doesn't seem too close and yet it does, if that makes sense. And then most seems to say, well, okay, then do the bright reds just to do it really different. And I'm like, no, it's too different. Like, not in a way that I'm like, yes. Then I would probably just like, I don't know, do something completely different. Then I have this red, which is a lighter red than the other red. This is a YarnArt Flowers Unicolor. And as you can see, it's a bit of lighter red than this red. There are a slight color change difference. So this red is darker red than this one. And I don't think this one just somehow doesn't match. It matches nicer. If I didn't have the maroon here and I went straight here on the more peachy colored, it would be perfect, I think, in here. That would be okay. But out here, no, 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 no. And then that's kind of so the 3 different reds was kind of what I was thinking of using in the beginning, but now I'm looking at them and I keep looking at them. I keep looking at this yarn. I'm like, it's just not perfect. The heart will be next to the outer edge here. So I'll start from here and the outer edge of the shawl will be in this cream color. So then I have this, which is not the same as the cream color. This is more of a pink, light pink type, rosy rose. So it's not cream. It's more like a rose type. And I'm not sure, maybe this is now too funky. So if I do this, it's easier to see. It's the darker colors I needed more light for. Now I turned down the lighting. You can see these are definitely not the same color either. I have only one skein of this. It should be enough, but this is the exact same color as the center of Hobbie's other yarn. So this is the Twister Rub and Cream. I am going to actually, I'm just gonna go to Hobbies Yarn. I go to the twisters. Where are the twisters? Twisters. And we are gonna pop over just shortly to that. Twisters. Yay. So the twister I sit here with is this one, which is this rubbing cream. This is the twister I'm sitting with, right? So this is the colors you see. And this uh, rose one is the exact same center as the lavender feels, this one. But in the YarnArt version of the twisters. So that is a different center. And you can easier see this now on the screen if I pop between the two, that this is a cream center. And this is a more of a peachy pink, very light pink. So they're very different. And therefore, I don't feel necessarily that's going to be the option. It could work, but I'm not sure. I think maybe then indeed doing a cream would be better, or for that matter, a white. And go back again. So that was this one. So and I only have this one. I do have yarn that it fits with. So I could option to make a bit of a bigger project if I didn't use this one. Then I have the cream version here. This is a Friends wheel. I got this one in a lucky bag. Well, not in a lucky bag in that sense. I got it on a Facebook Marketplace from a person that was selling off their yarn stash. And it is the Friends wheel, but in the colorway cream. And that comes insanely close to the center. Let's see if I can actually, is the other side better? Yeah, it's a bit closer. Look here. This might work. They are very, very close to being the same. Looking at the center here and the center here. It's a bit difficult to show on the camera though. So I'm optioning maybe for the cream to do that as a hat and do the contrast, just like, you know, when I've done the Ultimate Sacrifice shawls. I'm going to see if I actually have one of those laying around, one of those photos. Don't I have an Ultimate Sacrifice shawl laying somewhere? It's last summer, so I need to scroll back a bit. Here it is. So if I do this, then you need to think about the hat collector shawl hat a bit like this, where the outer edge is going to be the same as the center. The only difference here is that I'll have the lighter as the center and the outer edge as light as well. So it's kind of opposite in that sense. And I guess that's why I kind of hoped for the perfect dark red to go with this cake, but I just haven't found it, and I can't find it either. Then we have, of course, this is just cream white or off-white. So I do believe it, and this is also in the Friends wheel. And normally these Friends wheels solid costs, according to this, 17 USD. Sounds like a fucking fortune. It's because I need to see what I would pay for them in Dutch terms, because I can't really count on USD for Hobbii anymore after they start including the what is it called? They include the tariffs, which I think is really nice for the customers. It's just not very nice if you're trying to relate to. So the normal price for Friends wheel is 11 euros a piece. If you get it on sale, you can get it for maybe €6 40, €6 10. Let's say get 40% discount. If I buy enough of them, like if I buy 7 Friends wheel, I'll get them for €7.70 a piece. That's €30, 30% discount. I paid about €5 a piece when I picked them up, so including shipping, somewhere between €5 and €6. So that's why I decided to grab it. Anyhow, I have the colorway Off-White, which is this one, and I have the colorway 4, which is Cream. That's this one. And the Off-White could work too, but that is a lot brighter, I think, than the Cream. So that would be a complete different, like that would be markedly different compared to if I would option for the Cream, right? And then I have one yarn Unicolors. I have actually 3 of these skeins. This is just a white. And honestly, if I compare it to the Off-White here, they're the same. Like, maybe this is a little lighter white, actually. Yeah, it might be a little bit more white. But I have 3 of them, and I had also planned this for another shawl. So I'm not really sure I want to use this either. I just decided because they are in the lighter colors, I am going to find them and pick them out of my stash to compare with this yarn. And I just feel the white might be too different as well. Just as I said, the red is too different, right? Like, let's pop it up here. Because then we can compare it to outer edge. That seems awfully different too. And then I'm back to, indeed, maybe this cream is not bad at all. So that's kind of where we are at. I'm edging more and more towards the cream. Originally, when I had just, seen these and held them together, I felt it was going to be this one. But I don't feel that anymore. I still feel these could be great together. But I don't feel them together in the sense of in this project. Then I'm probably feeling more like this. Because I don't know. I don't know what I like. Oh my, it's a horrible decision. I hate making decisions like this. I'm going to show you the picture again that I used for the thumbnail. Because if I do that, you can easier see the colors next to how I see them. I think that is a very, very nice, clear image of how the colors physically are compared to the project. And the thing is, while cream is repeating in it, and I like that fact because they are sort of more or less the same cream. It is a Hobbii Twister cream and it is a Friends wheel cream. It's likely the same yarn, but if it's exactly the same dye lot, impossible to say. And then the real question is if you want to make a heart. But I just feel these Bordeaux and wine, the red is too far off. So I kind of feel maybe the, yeah, the Bordeaux was actually okay, but yet not. It would have been better than if you didn't have this dark maroon around. Um, choices, choices, choices. I'm gonna catch up and chat. Give me a moment. Defracted calico cut. Yeah. I would like to go. I would personally do a dark color accent, but that's also always my go-to: dark gray or black. Do not mix reds. No, no mixing reds. Will the heart be next to the cream center? We talked about that. I would make the heart next to the cream. Lisa loves the cream, thinking about the same idea as Ultimate Sacrifice. The cream hard edge would be absolutely stunning. It could be. Susan prefers the heart in a non-contrast color after looking at the pics online. Yeah, so that's why I hope for a um, darker maroon, if that makes sense. And Lisa says the white off-white is too bright. I agree. Revenant says, honestly, those three and the white work better than the one you're wanting to use. The white, I would honestly use the upper arch of yarns. Yeah, the upper arch. So one of the darker ones. Oh, it's cranky. Or I'll buy a black because I don't know. I already see they're having some of the colors going out of the stash. Black would be not nice. That's more because I'm keen on the thought of um I like the idea that it's sort of like the red idea, but it's just not maxing with that edge. Then I need to cut all this yarn and only use it from the peachy one. And that feels like a waste of yarn, so I'm not going to do that. So then we go to the cream or a darker. Maybe I do need to option just for the Bordeaux because it is a darker one, but ugh, it's not completely there. And the wine is also not there. No, 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 no. Okay, so we are gonna find this one is the colorway 33, and it has the colorways 111, 113, 121, 135, 136. So let's see. 111 is the masala, which is the outer edge. I can buy this as extra yarn if I want to. I could also just, make it without making a contrast and then just make it in one piece. That is that's an alternative as well, right? I could do that. But you first know when you're done with it. That's a problem. And then it has the flamingo, which is, I think, the color here in between. It's a pinker one. That could actually probably work. That could work. Guys, I am going to stop sharing that photo and I am going to pop you guys with me to the Hobbii website. Give you a really good reason for getting on at some stage. Yes, Susan, I will start constructing the heart and then work out my way out. Lisa says nothing is wrong, it's all personal preference. That's true. And that's my challenge, right? Okay, so you should be able to see me down in the corner. Yes, not very clearly though. This I think is not the darker of the pinks I have, but the halfway color, like the third color. That could work too, actually. And then they have 221, which is the cream. So that's their cream of the twister solids. And we're purely talking twister solids right now. And then we have 35 and 36. Coral. Would that be this outer one? This color seems so wrong from this. I cannot believe this color is in this. No, 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 no. And the light peach also according to this. This I can imagine that is between the cream and the flamingo. But I don't see where this coral comes in, unless the coral is this really dark one, and then it looks on screen very wrong. Because let's go back up here. Put up this one. Yeah. This is masala. I'm sure this is flamingo. And you have peach here, and then you have cream. So you see here, this flamingo goes into the peachy here. So there's like a slight change. But this color between the masala and the flamingo, do not tell me that's this very hissy fit pink they call coral. It has to be a mistake. I can't believe that. I can definitely believe the light peach and the flamingo and the masala, or maybe even the light rose. But I cannot believe the rest. What do we have of the friends? Because the alternative obviously will be that I will end up buy a skein of yarn. Bubblegum, rose, pink, hot pink, smooth berry, mulberry. That's a bit like the masala colors, but not completely there. I think they may be off. And the rest is like a tomato red, which is kind of nice red, but not the one we need. And Bordeaux is the other one. That's the one I have. All right. But I don't think, I can't believe this is this one. This darker one, the one that's out here. On the other hand, looking at that, I could definitely call that coral, but then the image is wrong. The image is then wrong. Susan says, if I was going to make this pattern, I would make the heart and then decide the rest. Good suggestion. The heart looks quick, maybe 5 to 7 inches. Yeah, it should be reasonably quick. It's the quickest part. If I had the yarn options you will have, and I was making it, I would take the heart from the cream and then start the body of the shawl in the red. Yeah, that's what I'm currently optioning for. Or I'm getting one of the halfway colors. Or I should get one of the halfway colors. I don't know. And in that case, there's nothing in the Friends wheel section here. Has gorgeous colors, but they aren't matching. I don't think the pink berry smoothie it's more dusty in the color than these are. And the outer one is dusty-ish. And I'm not gonna just buy 7 to save 30%. They're like they get on sale for better prices. And I get free shipping from 30 euros. At least right now I do. But the flamingo is definitely the third color. So it's not the dark one of them, I think. I think it's the one in between. And then that one should be coral. because it does contain of 5 colors. We have the cream center, and then we have a somewhat lighter than the cream that then goes into a bit darker again. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 color changes according to this. It just looks differently. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It has 5. And there are 5 listed on the side. So I think indeed that those must be all 5 colors in the cake. So the image has to be wrong. What I could do, because I don't need to start this straight away, and I don't think I have time to start, or I need to cut stuff and so on. But I'm not going to start it today in any case. I could write the customer support and ask them if this flamingo is indeed so screamy or not. The last option would be to why didn't I think about this last summer? The last option could be to go to Hobbii in Roskilde when I go there in March and literally go look for them myself. But that's in March. Do I want to wait until March to get this one started? I have plenty of projects to work on, so that's not the issue. But overall, just doesn't make sense. But when I count on all these colors, like, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There are 5 color changes, 5 colors mentioned, which makes me conclude that that coral has to be that one. And I do actually think using either that solid one, well, you can't really see it because it is already being mixed with a lighter one, but using one of those, which is just a bit lighter than this, that could work. What size shawl will you make? Does it really need up 300 meters? It's using up 300 meters of yarn, yes. This is the large does. So it's 3 cakes plus a bit. It's going to be one heck of a shawl. It's almost going to be like a blanket, the heart collector's blanket. I will need to block it over multiple sessions and everything when I get there as well, I'm afraid. So what I might do, I need to keep an eye out for, it's a really good excuse to buy yarn, huh? Want to keep my eye out for the Hobbii Twister and see if these solids go on sale. And if they do, and if they happen to be end of next week or the week after during my voucher code, I'm probably going to end up buying them, which is not good for a shopping my stash concept, but or we're heading this direction. They are extremely close to being the same, not completely. So I have options. But I don't feel the alternative colors for the French wheel will work. But the real question is if I should go into the solid options and see what there is. And I don't think the light pink here is what I'm looking for. It has to be one of the 2 following colors here. And it's so sad right now that it has to be darkened all the way down because this color is just not matching with the reality. But as I said, I want to use not the darkest one out here, but either first that they blended with or the second, because in real life that looks really nice. And if I pull a little bit in the string and we cross it in a bit, that would still make a nice contrast and have a nice, more like hot peachy color. So I think I need to put up a solid of either the first one of the lighter ones or the second, one of these two. That is a lot of crocheting for only one project. Hey, Susan, do you remember the fact that I just finished? Let me put up here. I just finished, a big blanket. It's next to me. And that was 66,564 stitches. Now, that is more work than the heart collector shawl will be, trust me. And the heart collectors, I will much easier be able to take with me on the couch, because once you are past a certain aspect of that, it's just repeats. It's very simple. So it's basically like the ultimate sacrifice shawl. When I was working on that, we got into a repeating aspect too. So that's much better. Even it looks too bright on this one. Anyhow, I want to show you guys the blankets because it's finished. No yarns attached, all ends woven in. I'll show to you guys. Woohoo! It's done. Look. Can't believe it's done. I just about had enough end to frock it, and to make that double crochet, I had made mistake and go all the way back, and I had like this much end to weave in. So that was really. So this would be the back side of it for those that's curious. And honestly, after some time and I've gotten used to looking at the backside, it feels weird if I would want to do something to the backside, because it's just the negative of the front, right? It's so freaking gorgeous. We're going to talk way much more about that blanket during the yarn talk video next week, Friday. And that blanket thus makes the heart collector shawl seem like a piece of cake. I'm just wrapping myself up because else I'll freeze. Um, thank you, thank you, thank you. Susan asks me if I have a buyer for the shawl. No, I don't. I just want to make it. Like, also, I don't have a buyer for the blanket for the fleur. And I'm not going to sell fleur. It's too much work. I may not sell this either. And maybe that's why I'm so focused on making it perfect. The crazy thing is I do have other projects where I could easily work on, and I also have other yarns that I want to make hat collectors from. But I think I've come to the conclusion I want to keep this, and that's why it's important to me that it's gonna be good and nice. If that even makes remote sense. I just can't believe the coral is that, but it could be that the color on screen doesn't match the color in reality. That's definitely possible. Like, good morning, Megan. We're just talking about the hat collector shawl. You're kind of late. So I don't know if we need to go back and repeat, rinse and repeat the process. Um, because I found some different yarns, and we looked into instead going with cream. Oh my goodness. I need to delete the colors again because obviously my camera goes all crazy for the light. Oh, I go dark, but this goes a bit better. That would be the cream. We're actually talking about um, that I could do a cream center instead, or a white, rather than one of the reds. And then I went to Hobbie's website and I was thinking of maybe even picking up one of the solids because a different color solids, because by the looks of it, this has 5 different color changes and there are 5 colors mentioned on the list. So maybe the darkest out here and the somewhat lighter, which doesn't really at all match on this camera right now. I'm so sorry. That I might be able to get them on the Hobbii website. You can see and read back the discussion if you feel like pop to today's earlier stream. These are the colors of the ones I have physically. Let's actually see if we can zoom on this. We can zoom a little bit. These colors are very accurate, I think, displayed on the screen as how I see them visibly with my eyes. What I see on my screen right now seems very close to what I see also when I look down at the table right now in that light. And I also have my stream running on my tablet next to me, so I have a good idea of what's going on and what I can see. And I think these colors are quite accurate as well on my tablet. The option is I could go for the cream, which is a little bit different cream than the one in the cake, but it's not much. The light rose, which is the YarnArt Unicolors, which is next between the cream and the YarnArt Unicolors of the reds, is too off, as well as the red is too light. Looking at the colors here, I would say the Bordeaux could still work, or the wine, but and the off whites, both of so the YarnArt Flowers Unicolor is a white, and then we have an off white twister next to it, or actually it's a French wheel, but still, they are too bright. They're too different as well. So what I have been thinking, and that's an idea I just got now. So if I zoom in on this cake a bit and put it a bit better like this in my screen, then you have the cream center here, right? And then here you can see there is a slight change between a cream and a very light pinkish. And it's not the change you see here, because that's between that light pinkish and the lighter pink, which you also see out here. So between here and here is a color change, but here and here is also a color change. And here's a color change, and then you have the one here, and then you have the last one here, right? So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 colors in this cake, and they change them. So it's 4 strands that they ply together. I believe, at least. I have the idea it's 4 strands. Yeah, it's 4 strands they ply together. And every strand is, let's say, 100 meters long, or 200 meters, 250 meters long. And then they ply one new strand on, and every 75, 100 meters, a new strand gets plied on in a different color until the color change comes. There is nothing more than 3 of the same, except for complete center and the complete outer edge. So what I'm currently thinking, ladies, is to take this, because this should be coral, the one you have here. That would be ideal, actually. And then make a solid of this coral on this outer edge. That would be nice. Or have a little bit lighter, but that's I do believe they called it peach. Let me pop back to find it. No, flamingo. right? So the outer one I think is coral, and then you have the flamingo. You have the light peach, and then you have cream, and the masala is the very outer one. So let's pop back on the screen so I can see what I'm doing. So this is cream, light peach, flamingo, coral, masala. That's how the colors lay in this. The only reason I'm in doubt is because when I looked at Hobbie's website and I saw the coral, I'm like, that's like a bright pink. That doesn't match. So either Hobbii has the wrong page or the wrong photo on the website, definitely not impossible, or the photo is so off. I've tried that before once with the yarn where this definitely was not the color that I had ordered, but the yarn label said it was. Let's see, can I actually get properties or something like that? According to this, it's that. Let's see if I save image. Yeah. It just feels so off when I look on the website. But when I look on the numbers, and if I'm to believe that, and my experience is that Hobbii do speak truth when it comes to the numbers so far. So maybe I just need to trust it. And then I think, using this coral, it's different, but it's close to the same. And I feel this is much more hot color than a cream. Susan, no, I have not made the shawl before. I've not made this shawl before. I have not. Um, but yeah, that's a choice. They have different choices. I did go through because I think as I made that video during December of the Shop My Stash, I realized I still wasn't too keen on those red options. Like they didn't speak enough to me. It didn't feel perfect. And I'm a perfectionist. That's sometimes an issue. Megan says the coral would be really nice and would match exactly. That's my thinking. That is my thinking, that it could be really nice. But yeah, I've never made it before. If I had made it before, it was an easy choice, right? Then I just made it, and then I'm like, okay, if I like it less, I'll sell it. But if I end up liking it so much, it's such a big work, I'll likely keep it. Unless somebody offers me a fortune, then I'm definitely open for selling. Especially as long as it's something you can reproduce. But yeah, I know that Dawn Yandel has made them. And she has like black centers and different colors, as well as Amanda made it with a darker edge, and then she worked from the dark towards the light. I could option for that too. If I did that with the cream, then the red could maybe actually work. That could work if I wanted to do it like that. That could work. But then that's not the same as outer edge. And then I would go back and get that. Oh my goodness. It's such a tiny piece, that centerpiece. It's actually rather stupid that I'm making such a fuss about it. They're not on sale right now. No. I think the twisters will go on sale sometime within the next month or two, which will be fine. I have other projects I can work on. I have plenty of yarn. It just means that I will have to wait a little bit before I start. Unless, of course, I start instead in this Stanley muffin I have. But I'd rather make this one first because I decided for it. Lisa says, I think that the creams will be far enough away from each other that it would be fine. Yeah, that's true. Maybe it's just because they're very close right now. It seems too close. But now I'm kind of hooked into this idea of the coral. But that will require me to obtain coral. Ideally, I would have a darker one than the masala, but that's what I tried and that failed, and there is no alternatives. They're either just a little too dark or not red enough or too brownish. I have to say, I do really like the Bordeaux. Where's Susan? We need her tagline. Yes, shop your stash, shop your stash, shop your stash. I know. I know. It's quite horrible, actually. I had these wonderful plans, and now they are kind of sort of getting broken. But if that's the only yarn I buy this year, would that even be realistic to believe that? That would be the question, I guess. Would that be realistic to believe that I won't be buying any other yarn? Not probably not. But it's not a lot. Plus, then I can get that free yarn from the points. It's okay. Megan says you've been so good without buying yarn. One skein won't hurt. Lisa says not realistic for a second. Well, it's compared. I was reasonably good last year compared to what I've worn the year before and the year before and the year before. Remember bought yarns 2 days ago. Had to get the yarn for the cat blanket. Well, it's okay if it's an ongoing project, right? I'm almost getting through these 2 skeins. And I need to cast on for the cowl. Of course, I'll start with this skein that's already in use. This is Ice Yarns. And I got it from, it looks much better in reality than this camera shows. I'm really so, this light. It is a baby super merino print superwash. So merino superwash. It's 100% superwash merino wool. It's a 50-gram skein. Well, this isn't anymore. It's like half a skein. They recommend 3mm needles, classified as a 2-weight fine, 50 grams, so 1.75 ounces to 200 meters, about 220-ish yards. And I'm going to obviously start on this one, and then I have 2 more skeins that's already caked up. These skeins they came in hanks. My mom caked up these skeins because she knit me a sweater in them. Right now, that sweater is maybe a little bit on the tiny side. Ideally, I would drop 20 pounds and I would fit it perfectly. Susan used up 1 skein of RHSS in a day on my granny stitch blanket. Yay! Lisa says, don't listen to me. I'm not an example for not buying yarn with my plans for this year. Nope. I know you aren't. So that is an option because I need to do something. I guess. That was my double pointed needles. Needles. These are gorgeous, by the way. And in this event, I would cast them on my 4mm needles here. That would be the goal if I should start casting on this. But I don't know if I want to, or I might just do it tomorrow. Roman says, I used 22 skeins and I'm making a granny blanket. I bought 10 skeins, so I'm doing okay. Definitely, definitely. I've been doing good this year too. I already used the first 3 skeins, right? Because I finished up. And Lisa says, I've done good. I haven't bought yarn this whole year. That's the same for me. I haven't bought any yarn yet. And this is where I'm intentionally wanting to maybe get that coral for the blanket. I don't know if that is the real physical color. It just looks so far off in the photos. So yeah, I could write support and ask them just to be sure. But yeah, this is a lot of stitches to cast on. I can also do that tonight. Because I wanted to make the big one. I have enough yarn for that. Where did I put it? Oh, this is way too far behind in time. Let's redo the look. Not a Christmas sweater. There it is. So simply at effects of cowl by Tin Can Knits. You have a short and long version. Finished measurements 20 or 45 inches around, 10 inches tall. The yarn is either 200 or 400 yards of DK weight. Samples shown in sweet fiber, cashmere, and marshland. And when I look at the cashmere DK, it's also like a 50 gram to a 200 meter ish, or well, 180, which is it's close. Needles 4mm they recommend, or as required to meet gauge. Yeah, gauge is not important, I heard from Susan. So if I want to make the small one, I cast on 110 stitches. If I want to make the big one, I cast on 248. I'm working the round. Then I need to do round 1 to 3 purl, and then I need to do round 4 to 12 in knits, and then repeat that a couple of times. It's basically it. So, which seems simple. Sport weight. It's a two weight yarn, and they claim to use a 3 weight. They probably use on the edge between a sport weight and 3 weight, though 2 weight and 3 weight. Which is why I said I don't have anything smaller than, well, I do have 3.5mm needles, but if I want to use my Knit Pro needles here, I only have a 4. And I actually want to use these. It's maybe not too bad. Let's compare the needles to the yarn. I think my mom knit the sweater in 3mm. I have a little bit tighter gauge, so it's probably closer to me knitting on a 3.5. Susan says, I think the smaller size is good for female. Yeah, my idea was to make the big size because I already have like this one, which is like, you can twist it and put it double around. So that was my thinking. And they want 13 inches circular ones. 32-inch circular ones, yeah. Which I also have somewhere in that whole dally alley. So the yarn is thinner, and that's why the 4mm makes sense. Because this is definitely just sport weight. It's a thin yarn. I would make shawls of this normally. Like this is like Hobbie's twister, thickness wise. Look, very similar. Well, this is not a twister, but it's a unicolor flowers, which is kind of the same thing. They are like very, very similar thickness wise. And these are recommended to be knit on 3 to 3.5 millimeters. And this is recommended to 3mm crochet hook, 2.5mm needles. So I think the 4 is fine. It's just me thinking casting on 248 stitches in the next hour. I'm probably better off not doing that now. But I'll do it this weekend. I think that's a nice weekend goal. Susan says, I know you're a tight knitter. I could also go with a 4.5mm. I have those. That's a difference. Not that big. 0.5 mm. I feel the difference. But because the yarn calls for 3, that's why I think 4 would work. The alternative thing is that I make a swatch. We're back to the swatch aspect. Or because if I need more, like if I need more stitches, that's easy to cast on. I need to know because the pattern just changes every row in the sense of like, it's just either rib or it's knit or knit or purl. That's what I meant, knit or purl. It's not like it needs to add up with specific set amount of stitches. So if I need to cast on, let's say 3 more stitches to make the gauge, that's not an issue. And I have plenty of yarn. I have, for the large one, I have at least 1 extra skein or half a skein. So exactly. That's what I'm thinking, Lisa. I should probably just knit a swatch. That would be clever. That would be the right thing to do. That would be to actually do a swatch, right? To do a swatch, that would be the right thing to do. So we have 2 full skeins, 100 grams plus this, so it's like 125-ish gram approximately. so that I have enough yarn to do it. And I have been thinking for a while what I should make with this yarn, and I was at some stage thinking I could make the Sophia shawl. Oh no, not the Sophia, Sophie shawl. Um, but then Susan suggested me this, and I was like, good idea. I'll find some other yarn for that. Sophia shawl. And I like the idea of a cowl. So that is the direction that will head. I am still here. Maybe we should just knit for the last hour. Or I could sew the last square together. That's actually not a bad idea either. We still need a square, but I don't know what I've done with this yarn. It's totally tangled up. So I'm just gonna get that yarn sorted and ensure it's a bit detangled. We talked about that last time. I have 7 millimeters on this side and 8 millimeters on my working end because the yarn then glides easier from my working side to my knitting side. I could put this down a little. So I basically, therefore, this is my working end. Have all my stitches lined up and ready. But due to this being a bit smaller needle, it slides so much easier. And the place where I'm really looking for the easiness of the slide is not so much where I'm picking up the stitches here. It's more on the joint section where it goes from the cable onto the needle. Because the 8 millimeter joint section here is rather thick. And I think I'll finish this one this weekend. I think that's definitely a realistic happening. And I got caught up with my crazy yarn end. But you can see that here, actually, that this one is visibly thicker than the other one. Well, maybe it's not so clear on the screen, actually. But this one, the top one right now is a bit slimmer. So to go onto the needles, this just moves so much smoother for all the stitches than it does on the 8 millimeters. That's the main reason for me changing, actually. And I feel less friction on it, and that really appreciated me on that account. But we talked about it, so maybe I really should just actually sew this last bit together. I am learning new techniques for sure. It's like, it's good. It's good. It's not bad. Mm-hmm. Definitely not bad. But I'm really keen on seeing if I could end up with a sail on the twister. I should check for that. Lisa sent me a pic of the cowl she's working on. I'm getting sales for train tickets. I don't need that right now. Totally random. The laconic cowl. And I am gonna like this. And we are gonna share the screen again. I just need to find the right one. Here we go. That looks nice. I like the different color changes in this one. Of course, if you make a smaller cowl and you don't twist it around, then not as many stitches is required. Susan is asking you, Lisa, what yarn lights? And Lisa is saying she's using some yarn that it's sport weight. Okay. Do, 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 do. It's Expression Fiber Arts Luster Sport. Meanwhile, I decided that it is indeed time for me to um, collect those granny squares, so at least that I'm ready to start crocheting the piece, if that makes sense. Because there's still some crocheting to do on the Daisy Days bag. And then we are indeed gonna, and I need to, ta-ta. Merino and Tencel, interesting. I need to make sure that indeed. So this is the wrong side. This is the right side. So this goes inside, so to say. That I collect them and that they do not twist. It's a band. So if I choose to continue here, I know I'm doing it right because from the last Granny Square Sew Together project I made, we kind of know that Stina needs to triple check before she sews. Because point one, I am really horrible at frocking because whatever I do make is sewn so well together that it's not frock friendly. So I've learned by my mistake. And what I mean by this is basically I've learned to check extra. Lay it out, work on it. Don't assume that it can't go wrong. That's a good question if it's stretchy. Well, wool is a flexible fiber that can stretch, right? Where cotton, in this case, I'm working in a cotton yarn that doesn't stretch much, if anything. I feel I've done something too quick. But I haven't. It's just because it's so early and then it looks funky. It's my very, very baby step into carrying yarn and knitting and almost color work. It looks good, so I think you've done a great job. Susan would like to know what name it is, the cowbell. It does say laconic here, so Expression Fiber Arts has such nice yarns. Yeah, and they are all across the pond. But I guess this is now where I can be really happy that my access to Hobbii is cheaper. No tariffs, low shipping fees, or low amounts to get free shipping. I genuinely hope maybe that those Twister Solids could go on sale during the period my birthday voucher is available, because then I think I'll just, option for it and get it and just swallow the pill, so to say. Once it's blocked, it's out. It's a type of cowl that comes down around my shoulders a bit. Oh, that's nice. Also, if you watch the bingo, you get the extra percentage off. That's a real question. I haven't figured that out yet because I'm not sure if that's only valid for the countries that the bingo technically it's broadcasts in. Because I physically have to change my app to the English or the Danish or the Swedish or whatever I want to play the bingo, or the German for that matter. I will get points for all of them. But if I try to buy in this respective store, I won't be able to get it shipped to my address because I'm not on the Dutch side. So, not 100% sure if that will work. Um, it's definitely worth a try. But I'm also probably open for just getting it when it's on sale regardless. And sorry, I will then have to get some yarn, but that's okay. It's for a project. Right? And it's a project that will use up way much more than I'll buy. Yeah, use the code on top of your sales price. Yep. That's what they normally do. That's also why I say I hope it's for sale during the week where I have my birthday voucher. Um, because my birthday is soon. And that's another good, it's okay if I get yarn for my birthday, even though that I'm not supposed to get much yarn. That would be all right. Lisa says she won a bunch of this yarn after she participated in a make along. That's nice. That is really nice, being able to win yarns. But that's cool. Once this one is sewn together, I just need to start crocheting around. Susan says, I don't think I got any any of the, oh my goodness, expression fiber art yarns, unless she got them in a mystery box because she's never purchased any. You know, I see so many gorgeous hand dyed yarns. I am all jealous and in awe. Um, I've also been keen on getting some of the Malabrigo yarns because I think they look gorgeous, but no, 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 no. I'd like to be able to do more complex things first if I go that direction. Like make a fancy knit hat or something like that, right? It needs to do the yarn justice. They have a bunch of different fibers like camel and yak. That is definitely also optional. Yeah, definitely. I have to say, I really like, for example, Linda Hobbii has a really nice selection of yarns too nowadays. Lisa sent me a new email with a pic of her winnings. Oh my good lord. That is a nice bag. Ooly doody. Who wouldn't be jealous here? Actually, I think I am going to see if I can. And then open it. That would work fine. I can. Ta-da. So what we're gonna do is I'm gonna share. There you go. The yarns that Lisa won. Gorgeous. Been busy caking. Or were they all caked when you got them? I would almost think so, given the box. Susan made a scarf with the yak blended in wool. They were already caked. Yeah, Susan, I agree. She did hit the jackpot on that one. I'm definitely jealous. Like, that is gorgeous. That is definitely gold. More people needs to clear out the stash. You know, people get gifted yarn too sometimes. So I have some ice yarns that's super soft, and I have some very fussy yarn from Katia, which is a Spanish brand that I've told to Lisa a few times about. And I really want to learn to knit and then knit myself a comfy sweater in that. Lisa nearly cried when she won. I understand. That was a very, very nice prize. So, did they do a collab with Expression Fiber Arts, or were they clearing out the stash, or like? Lisa's being like, "You can make a sweater." Yes, I can, but I want to make a sweater I can get pleasure for many years, and henceforth, I'd like not to knit it just yet because I have this idea of trying to slim it a bit. No collab, just clearing out stash. Nice. Well, aren't those the best prices then? Would be like me clearing out my cake stash. I'm not sure if I could make myself do that. Oh my goodness, this is fiddly work on the edge of this. I cleaned out a lot of stash, but my cakes, no. That's my point. No, no, no. I could probably clear out some things, but I'm not sure if I could. Well, a few of my cakes I would have less issues clearing out. Like some of the Stanley souffle cakes, I'm not really sure what to make with. So I could see myself clearing those, honestly. Do, do, do. But the majority of my cakes I couldn't clear out for the life of me. I have many gorgeous cakes. And I definitely could not. Lisa says I have one souffle cake. I don't know what to do with either. Okay, so I'm not the only one being in doubt with the souffles. I've actually debated on maybe just making a doily, right? Like a placemat or table runner or something like that. Like a little cloth, tablecloth. That's what I've been debating. Scissors. These were thinking knitting a t-shirt. That's an option too. But then we are back into my knitting skills, which currently right now is related to knit, purl, and preferably in the round. I think I can increase and decrease, but you know, I wouldn't have any clue. And I would definitely need thinner needles also with that, wouldn't I? Because I think that yarn is even thinner than like the YarnArt Flowers uni here. Yeah, it's thinner. So then I would need um then I would need oh, what is it called? Thinner needles. I am going to have to go to the other side because apparently I've already weaved in an end there from a previous something. I think I had one square where the yarn indeed ran out in the last row, so that's probably where I did that. Uh, Lisa says, also, there are YouTube tutorials for learning new things. If you never do them, you won't ever learn them. Just be like I can do it. It's my philosophy. Yeah, it's not that I don't want to do them. It's more like I don't want to do it now because I have other things I have planned. I've never done the waffle stitch, for example, and I am going to make a shrug in waffle stitch. Um, it's the pattern and everything is ready for it. Now let's check that I actually did this correct. I did it. Ha ha. Look, it's not twisted and it's sewn together and it's gonna be like each side of a bag. Hallelujah. Now I just need to do a bunch of double crochets around it. So looking at the pattern here, it says back view from top. Start by working up the 6 squares, which I've done. Sewn together in a strip. Continue along the bottom edge of the strip, working down the back, decreasing for the bottom. The back is sewn together mid-bottom. So basically, these are work together. Sew the color, blah, blah, blah. Sew the first and the last squares together and form a ring. The lower section. Work alongside the bottom edge of the band. Doesn't really matter which is up and down here. Start from the right side. Let's see here. Start from the right side with 1 slip stitch around the chain space in the corner of a square. Work 3 chain stitches, then a treble crochet into the double crochet and a treble around each chain space of the corners of the squares, 22 stitches long. 32 trebles, 3 chains, plus finish the round with 1 slip stitch in the third. Doesn't sound like many, but probably. Work 3 chains and then a treble crochet in each of the double crochet. A treble crochet around. But there is no double crochets, it's single crochets what I was asked to do in the corner. Don't tell me I did this wrong. My freaking God. No, it's like it's supposed to be. It just writes really weird. So we are back to me hating drops patterns for not writing clearly what they want us to do, but I'll be fine. Thank you. Pretty squares. It's the Daisy Days bag from Drops. So what I need to do is obviously take my 4.5mm crochet hook and continue adding on here. But when I'm reading this, it sounds like Willapük. Lower section of the bag, which is either this side or this side, doesn't matter. Work along the bottom edge of the bag with the color. Bum, bum. Start from the right side with 1 slip stitch around each of the chain spaces in the corner of a square. This is a square, right? So if I do this, but then it says here, then 1 treble crochet in each of the double crochet and 1 treble crochet around each chain space in the corner. I think Are we reading the UK version? Yes, that's why. Ha! It's not the US. I'm sure it will make much more sense now. Righty. That makes sense. Lower section. Work along the bottom edge of the band with the blah blah blah. Start by working on the right side with one slip stitch around the chain space in the corner of a square. Work 3 chain stitches, then a double crochet in each single crochet and a double crochet around. Yeah, no treble crochets. So I need to read US terms. My goodness, now I know why I'm confused. It's because on Garn Studio's website they have um, all sort of languages and the patterns are transferred later. So make sure you really have the right English version because else you just end up like me being like, what are they dabbling on about? This makes zero sense. But now it does because I was reading the English term and not the US terms. Hope you're well, Rekia, and I hope you got well into the new year. Lisa says, and that is why I refuse to make drop patterns. Yeah. So basically, they're saying to me to start in the corner and work in each of those double crochets. And the corner I have here. And I guess I need to then skip a row over where they are sewn together. I could do that if I wanted to now and leave that knitting project for a bit. So where are my? Quite sure I used a 4.5mm, didn't I? Says crochet hook size 4, but I'm quite sure I used a 4.5 because I did not use my 4 for this. Yeah, the yarn works up nicer in. So we will make a little end. I can weave in. Have to start in a corner somewhere. Ta-ta. That would be the right side because that would be the inside out, and we'll do ta-ta. So that is a chain, then a double crochet in each of the. Let's see. Okay, start from the right side with 1 slip stitch around the chain space in the corner of a square. Work 3 chain stitches, then double crochet in each single crochet and double crochet around each chain space in the corners of the squares. 22 stitches for every square. So if I read this correct, then this is what we need to do. Then I feel I should do a stacked. I'd rather do a stacked single than this crappy stuff because the stacked singles looks so much better, my friends. At least that's my optics or take. Oh, that's not going well. So basically, I need stitch markers. But I should have 22 stitches along every square. Do, 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 do. So I'm first gonna mark. I like to have my starting point marked. It's more for my own sanity. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, which is the corner. Ah, it's going to fit. This is going to be so beautiful. When things actually match. So now we are actually crocheting. Today has mainly been knit, talk about potential yarn, making different choices, having a yarn pending situation where I'm considering I need to sort my stash slightly differently because now I'm probably pending on new yarn. And I'm not really surprised about myself on this aspect. Really. But yeah, I don't know why I make all these drops patterns either. Um, I don't know. Um, my patience is still there for them. But see, here I figured out what the mess was, and that's just me being not realizing that the pattern I had quickly found was in UK terms, not in US terms, and I'm used to talking US terms when I'm talking crochet. It's a slight difference on things. If you haven't done that, don't forget to hit the thumbs up on this live, by the way. We do get out to more people when that happens, which means we might get some more friends. We like friends. So now I need to count if I have indeed 22 stitches. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 22. I did. Sweet. Which means that, again, in the space, we'll do a double crochet. And then we'll do, after that, double crochets in each of the single crochets. Reality is this part of the pattern is very easy. So we are working towards the bottom. The bottom needs to be sewn together as well. It is a lot of sewing, this pattern. I just decided to make it because I thought it looked nice. Um, that seems to be a common issue I have. Oh, that looks nice. I should make that. I don't really read the pattern. I mainly end up being frustrated about it afterwards. Being like, oh my goodness, why did I choose to make this pattern? Anyhow, as I said, I have definitely made a couple of bags in this yarn, which is 100% recycled cotton. Um, I've made 2 summer shopper bags in it. And I still have yarns left also in my stash. Um, more yarns of this. I did, and I think that's maybe a year ago. I got a recent amount of it because I wanted to compare them and to see the colors and everything. So I actually did that because they weren't that expensive, so I got them at a good price. See, 12, 14, 16, 18, 21. 44 stitches. Prepping for the bottom. I'm just cracking on here. It does indeed help because now I realize how simple this aspect is. So I'm actually quite happy we did end up closing it off this afternoon. But I definitely need a break after the first hour of sewing. Mm, 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 mm. Yeah. I have a feeling we may get all the way around. Count again. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 22. Amazing. 66 stitches to go. And then it sounds like it's pretty much it, like rinse and repeat until it measures X centimeters or something along those lines. Because once I'm done here, I should have 132 double crochets. Uh, uh, um, And then it says work alternately 1 round of single crochets from the wrong side and 1 round of double crochets from the right side. Okay. With 1 stitch each stitch for 7 centimeters. So basically, then I'll turn the work around and I'll work backwards. Single crochets. I did not realize that. But okay, sure. Okay, why not? I guess. Mhm. The good thing is the yarn that was just recently, I thought, on sale. That was not the Twister, that was the Friends. So yeah, I hope the Twister should come up, else we'll be patient for a bit. So the decision is unfortunately postponed a bit due to me not being 100% sure. Which is nothing new. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 22. We only have 44 stitches to go. Mm, 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 mm. Mm, 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 mm. Oh my goodness, time flies. Just checking again that I caught all the right stitches. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 22. I did. We're almost there. Last 22 stitches. Look, we're so close. No, so we did get some decisions plain, like we didn't want to use the off whites, and the cream could be a potential winner, but I'm still more inclined to see if we could get the coral maybe or flamingo and how they could work out. But I think they could be really good. I think this is 21. 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 21. It is. And then it says slip stitch into the top. Yep. Done. That feels so odd to turn the work here. I actually feel more like especially because we have to turn the work to make this closing. Because then we are ready for the next round already when we get there. Which then basically will be to turn the work and do single crochets and then turn the work into double crochets and all in the same stitches until it measures 7 centimeters or a little bit less than 3 inches. But that, my friends, is not going to be today. We are progressing on the bag for sure. I think that some of these squares could have been, and of course I didn't block it, so that might have some effect to it as well. But I am curious on the continuous progress here. We are this. I like to have this extra one to keep track of my starting stitch, working with and to proceed with the Daisy Days bag. So we did do a few things today. We worked quarter of a row on this. We sew those squares together, the remaining ones, and we discussed yarn, lots of yarn. And I think then conclusion is I'm going to wait to see once Hobbii has their Twister Solids on sale again. And I'm going to check if I can indeed get either the coral and the flamingo. And then I have them in my stash regardless. And I'd like just to have them for that purpose. And then see how that all could work up as alternatives to the cream. Because we also did discuss the cream. This is really light on this video because of the light. But I have this cream and French wheel, and that could work as an alternative start. But I sort of feel one of these lighter colors in here could be a better option. And, in worst case, I'll get 3 more twisters and I'll make one with cream and one with other option. And then I definitely know afterwards which I like more. That's just a lot to do. And I have plenty of other projects before then. So who knows when that's ever gonna be. But, if Hobbii posts this sale with, let's say, 60% off or something crazy, I might be open for it. I might be open for it one day. But it's not gonna be. I don't think that's gonna be this year. First, we're gonna target that. As I said, I hope the twisters go on sale this week. That would be really awesome. Or well, not this week because Tuesday is already here. Next week, Tuesday would be amazing if the twisters were going on sale. Or in worst case, the following week, Tuesday. Let's cross fingers. That basically means this was pretty much the end of this as live. It's Friday. It is 5 p.m. I need to clear up this table and prepare for making some dinner. Today is a quite simple dinner. We're just gonna have some salads with the shrimps. Lovely. But I still need to get going because it is Friday. Thank you so much for watching, Lisa. Great travels to Mexico. And I also understand if it doesn't go through in case of everything that's going on right now. It sounds like you have quite a bit on your plates. I'm going to say thank you so much for watching indeed. Take care and happy crafting. And if everything goes as planned, I'm going to be live again on Monday around 2 p.m. Central European time. Bye all.